When Udo Kier collapsed in his Palm Springs home on Sunday morning, nobody expected the global outpouring that followed. This wasn't just another celebrity death. It was the passing of a cinematic phantom who haunted screens for over 6 decades, slipping between horror, art house, and Hollywood blockbusters like smoke through fingers. From Dracula to Armageddon, from Andy Warhol's Basement to Lars von Trier's apocalyptic dreams, Kier wasn't just an actor. He was a shapeshifter who redefined what it meant to be a character. But the truth gets darker. His final days were shrouded in eerie silence, his partner Delbert McBride confirming the death to Variety without revealing a cause. And what few know is that Kier had 3 unreleased films set for 2025, projects he was still shooting in his 80s. That's the kind of obsession with art most can't comprehend. Yet this man, born in a bombed-out German hospital during World War II, survived chaos only to build a legacy stranger than fiction. Udo Kier didn't just play monsters. He embodied them with a chilling elegance that made audiences both recoil and lean closer. His breakout came in 1973 with Flesh for Frankenstein, a grotesque, operatic horror produced by Andy Warhol, where he played Baron Frankenstein not as a mad scientist, but as a deranged aesthete obsessed with perfection. A year later, he transformed into Dracula in Blood for Dracula, draining virgins not for power, but for purity. These weren't B-movies. They were Baroque nightmares that made Kier the undisputed king of European cult horror. Critics called him the face of decadent decay, and fans couldn't look away. But what nobody saw coming was his pivot from underground terror to mainstream fame, starring opposite Keanu Reeves in Gus Van Sant's My Own Private Idaho, a film that redefined 90s indie cinema. In it, Kier played a manipulative pimp with such unnerving charm you almost forgot he'd just been neck-deep in vampire gore.
Then came Lars von Trier, the Danish provocateur who turned Kier into cinema's most tortured muse. Their collaboration spanned Medea, Europa, Dancer in the Dark, Dogville, and Melancholia, each film a descent into psychological abyss. In Dogville, Kier's voice alone, whispering threats off-screen, sent chills down spines. In Melancholia, he played a suicidal astronomer, watching Earth's end with eerie calm. Von Trier once said, "Udo doesn't act, he channels." That's the secret no one talks about. Kier never prepared. He arrived on set, absorbed the mood, and let something ancient pour out through his icy stare. That stare, wide, unblinking, like a predator frozen mid-strike, became his trademark. Directors didn't direct him, they unleashed him. But here's where the story twists. Kier wasn't confined to art house purgatory. While critics praised his depth, Hollywood begged for his weirdness. He popped up in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective as the flamboyant Dr. Vinny, stole scenes in Blade as the vampire historian Pearl, and even survived Armageddon as the doomed German technician. These roles weren't cameos, they were Trojan horses, smuggling avant-garde energy into popcorn cinema. He once joked, "I play the guy who dies so the hero can live." Yet every death felt like a performance, precise, poetic, unforgettable. And through it all, he never lost his edge. At 70, he starred in Brazil's Bacurau, a violent dystopian western that won Cannes acclaim. At 78, he played a haunted diplomat in The Secret Agent. At 80, he filmed scenes for projects that may never see the light of day.
Born in 1944 in Cologne, Kier's origin story sounds like a script. Evacuated from a hospital during Allied bombing raids, raised in post-war ruin, then sent to London at 18 to learn English, only to be scouted on the street for his first film role. No training, no connections, just raw, magnetic presence. He never fit neatly into German cinema or Hollywood. He was a borderless artist, fluent in the language of unease. He played Nazis, vampires, mad scientists, priests, pimps, and aristocrats, but always with a thread of vulnerability beneath the menace. That's why fans loved him. His villains weren't evil. They were broken, beautiful, and terrifyingly human. Now, his sudden passing on November 23rd has left a void no one can fill. Tributes are pouring in, from Madonna, who cast him in her Truth or Dare documentary, to Lars von Trier, who called him my cinematic soul. Yet questions linger. Why no cause of death? Why silence from his camp? Insider sources say Kier had been in declining health, but refused to slow down. Quote, he said stopping would kill him faster than any illness, a close friend revealed. And those 3 unreleased films? One is a surrealist drama shot in Berlin, another a sci-fi thriller in Brazil, and the third, rumored to be his final collaboration with von Trier, remains locked in post-production. Will they be finished, or will they vanish like so many of his ghostly characters?
What makes Udo Kier's stories so haunting isn't just his filmography. It's his refusal to be forgotten while alive, and his eerie ability to linger after death. In every frame he inhabited, he left a residue, a cold breath on the neck of cinema itself. He proved that a character actor could be a legend without ever being the hero, that weirdness could be power, that staring into the abyss and winking was its own kind of rebellion. As fans scroll through his 250-plus credits on IMDb, one thing becomes clear. We weren't just watching Udo Kier. He was watching us back from the shadows of 1,000 screens. And even now, in death, that gaze hasn't dimmed. Because the real shock isn't that he's gone, it's that he was ever here at all.